Honorable Chair of today's session and respected researchers present here today, good afternoon and welcome to you all in my today's presentation. Dear ladies and gentlemen, before I start my presentation today, I have a question for all of us. Do you know how much fresh water is required to manufacture one single Ginspan? You might wonder. 7,500 liters of water is necessary to produce a single Ginspan. And that same amount of water can support a family of 4 members for a whole month. That's why we say pure water will be the reason for Third World War. 6% or above GDP growth rate means nothing if we destroy our environment, our abode, where we all are living in. Yes, textile industry is the largest export earning source for Bangladesh. We are earning around 34 billion USD per year from this sector. Surprisingly, we are planning to double this amount to 50 billion USD within 2022. Those exorbitant numbers sound like a great achievement to us, but we really mulled over. It took us almost 35 years to reach in the current status of our RMG sector. But you know what? Bangladesh will be the worst sufferer of this climate change. In this country, around 2,000 people live per square kilometer, making it the top densely populated country in this world. Today, the Western countries are thoughtful about climate change, whereas we are living in blissful ignorance. Seems like we are entering an economic volcano wearing protective equipment and thinking that everything will be fine in the future. This kind of reactive economic attitude might drive us to the verge of extinction. Statistics says by the end of 2050, 1 out of 7 Bangladeshis will be displaced from their present abode due to global warming and sea level increase. Have we even thought about the magnitude of this problem? I think ignorance of a problem is much bigger trouble than the problem by itself. As a concerned citizen of Bangladesh, I have written this paper to draw your kind attentions to the looming environmental impacts created by Bangladesh RMG sector. I have been associated with this textile industry for more than 27 years. And I regret to tell you that I have literally seen the government and policymakers are least concerned about the environmental catastrophe created by RMG sector. However, now it is our duty to educate our citizens and children about climate change, who are the future leaders of this nation. As you all know, the current pandemic situation has taught us to efficiently utilize our wealth without harming the nature. This also makes today's topic quite relevant for contemporary discussion. But first, let us have a look at the global overview of textile industry. Worldwide, 70 million people are employed by this sector, making it a $3,000 trillion industry as a whole. Unfortunately, textile is also the second most polluting industry in the world, which is responsible for 10% of the global carbon emission. Not only air, water is also significantly polluted by this industry. You see, these problems are now being addressed seriously by the Western world. Greenhouse effect is a serious concern for the global leaders of this decade. Europe and North America are now thinking about the ecological imbalance caused by the RMG sector. The main catalyst behind those problems are the concept of fast fashion and linear economy. Let us discuss them in brief. Fast fashion is a concept developed by global fashion giants who produce relatively cheap apparel products with shorter longevity, so that the users have to frequently buy new clothes for consumptions. Big fashion brands continuously update clothing designs even within weekly intervals. As a result, consumers always feel the urge to replace their perfectly usable garments with newly purchased clothes to become trendy. This fast fashion is, however, just increasing the profit margin of the companies, whereas leaving extreme environmental footprint behind. Worldwide, 1/10 of the annual carbon emission is done by textile industry. The fast fashion will lead these to 1/4 by 2040 if we don't stop this insanity soon. Almost 50% of fast fashion apparel is disposed within the first year of production. We cannot waste our limited resources this way. If we dig deep to find out the root cause of fast fashion, it is the linear economic model of take, make, waste in our apparel industry, which takes for granted that the earth has infinite resources and infinite regenerative capacity. That is, a completely wrong concept in the first place. As you all know, Bangladesh is the third largest exporter of ready-made garments, contributing to 11.17% of the total GDP, with around 5,000 export-oriented garments factories. We can't ignore this giant industry from our economy. Rather, we have to find effective ways to make RMG sector environmentally sustainable for the future. Now, I shall shortly describe the Bangladeshi textile industry's harmful environmental impacts with some pictures. Behind the glorious saga of our apparel industry, a nightmare of environmental pollution is hiding that we consciously ignore. Every year, 50,000 ton carbon is being emitted from our textile sector, while polluting 200 rivers and 1,500 billion water via the manufacturing plants. The heavy toll of all these pollutions is significantly harming the people who are directly or indirectly involved in the RMG sector. Numerically, 5 million workers are instantaneously exposed to the harmful chemicals used in the garments, who gradually suffer from severe respiratory and kidney diseases. Moreover, waste and non-disposable synthetics eventually reach the ocean and landfills, which drastically destroy the marine life, biodiversity, and agricultural sector as well. Being said all these facts and figures, let us now focus on how circular economy model in the textile industry can practically address those problems by breaking the traditional take, make, dispose model. Reusable textiles can create a new apparel ecology for the users. Used garments can be repaired, reused as a product, or reused as materials for new clothing. Likewise, the blue lines are showing us that how the non-reusable products can be supplied to a chain of operations like fabric manufacturing, fiber manufacturing, and mechanical or chemical recycling, industrial processing, etc. The whole process essentially creates a circular economic ecology to reduce wastage and produce long-lasting fabrics for sustainability. To show the difference between the linear and circular economic model, the most prominent point to address is the uses of waste as raw material in the circular economic process. While linear economic model encourages the process producers to compete with each other, circular economic model will allow them to collaborate in the value chain in different capacities. Last but not the least, linear model produces a product to dispose it eventually to the nature, which we all call downcycling. But circular economic model is, however, extracting raw materials from wastage, which is called upcycling. In short, circular economy will lead us to a zero waste and zero toxicity production process with the maximum resource utilization. In this method, it will benefit the environment, benefit the economy, and benefit the society as a whole. As Rolf Zucker has said, sustainability is achieved when all people on earth can live well without compromising the quality of life for future generations. We cannot endanger our grandchildren's lives by whimsically polluting the environment. Human life and nature should always be the first priority before any sort of economic growth. We should give up the false vanity of fast fashion in the question of survival. And COVID-19 has essentially taught us that nothing is more important than our health and environment. We must give up the crazy mindset of fast fashion to save our planet. I hope our policymakers will take pragmatic steps to encourage circular economic model in the RMG sector. Policies like tax rebate in environment-friendly productions, encouraging recycling, imposing tax on fast fashion products, etc. should be carried out as soon as possible. The world is now focusing on sustainable production and renewable energy sources more than ever before. Following the global trend, circular economy can open new door of opportunities for emerging economies like Bangladesh. As today's topic is how to materialize Vision 2041 of Sustainable Development Goal, hopefully my paper will add some values in adopting circular economic guidelines in the national policy making level. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you all.